My wife compared me to her friend's perfect husband. My comparison made her perfectly single. She wanted perfection, got perfect karma instead. Update 5. I turned back to our guests and thanked them for inadvertently teaching me the most important lesson of my marriage. They'd shown me what it looked like when a wife actually appreciated her husband, and the contrast with my own situation had been educational in ways my wife hadn't intended. I told them that watching a marriage where both partners supported each other had made me realize that I deserved better than what I'd been accepting. My wife had been right that I should aspire to have the kind of marriage they had, but she'd been wrong about which part of our relationship needed to change. The problem wasn't that I wasn't perfect enough for her. The problem was that she wasn't grateful enough for me. She'd spent so much time looking at other people's marriages that she'd forgotten to appreciate her own. She'd become so focused on what she didn't have that she'd lost sight of what she did have. Her friend nodded slowly, clearly understanding the point I was making. She looked at my wife with something like disappointment, realizing that her friend had been using her marriage to justify destroying her own. I stood up from the table and thanked everyone for a very educational evening. I told our guests that they were welcome to finish their dinner, but that I had some phone calls to make. I needed to contact a lawyer first thing Monday morning to begin the process of giving my wife exactly what she'd been asking for all month. The freedom to find someone perfect, someone who would meet every single one of her clearly articulated standards, someone who would appreciate having such a discerning partner who knew exactly what she wanted from a marriage. My wife was crying now, finally understanding that her month of comparison had led to the complete destruction of everything she'd actually wanted to preserve. But it was too late for tears. She'd made her choice every single day for weeks, and now she was going to live with the consequences of those choices. I wished everyone a pleasant rest of their evening, and walked out of my own dining room leaving my wife to explain to her friends how her perfect teaching moment had become her perfect divorce announcement. The aftermath was swift and brutal. By Monday morning, I had an appointment with a divorce attorney. By Tuesday my wife discovered that her friends had been discussing her behavior from Friday night, and the consensus wasn't favorable. Her friend called her over the weekend to express how uncomfortable she felt about being used as a weapon in our marriage. She told my wife that she couldn't continue their friendship, knowing that every detail of her relationship was being used to attack someone else. The perfect marriage example was no longer available for comparison purposes. Other couples in our social circle heard about the dinner party incident through mutual friends. Word spread quickly about the wife who had spent weeks comparing her husband to other men, then got publicly divorced for it. The reaction wasn't sympathetic. My wife tried calling me repeatedly, leaving voicemails that progressed from angry to desperate to pleading. She claimed that I was overreacting, that she'd just been trying to improve our relationship, that she never meant for things to go this far, but every message proved that she still didn't understand what she'd done wrong. She kept focusing on her intentions rather than acknowledging the devastating impact of her actions. She wanted credit for trying to help our marriage, even though her methods had systematically destroyed it. I didn't respond to any of her calls. There was nothing left to discuss. She'd spent a month showing me exactly how she felt about me as a husband, and I'd heard her message loud and clear. 3 weeks after the dinner party, she showed up at my office. She looked exhausted and desperate, nothing like the confident woman who had been lecturing me about marriage standards just a month earlier. She begged me to reconsider the divorce. She promised that she would never make comparisons again, that she understood now how hurtful her behavior had been, that she just wanted to save our marriage. I listened to everything she had to say, then asked her a simple question. I asked her if she would have stopped comparing me to other men if I hadn't threatened divorce. If I had just continued accepting her daily criticisms, would she have eventually decided on her own that her behavior was wrong? She couldn't answer because we both knew the truth. She would have continued her campaign of systematic comparison until I either transformed into her ideal husband or broke under the pressure. The only reason she wanted to stop now was because there were consequences she hadn't anticipated. I told her that I appreciated her apology, but that respect couldn't be restored once it was lost. She'd shown me who she really was during those weeks of comparison, and I believed her the first time. 6 months later, the divorce was final. I heard through mutual friends that she'd tried dating, but kept comparing every man she met to her idealized version of what a partner should be. Apparently, finding perfection in the real world was more challenging than she'd expected. I, on the other hand, met someone who appreciated me for who I was rather than criticizing me for who I wasn't. Someone who built me up instead of tearing me down. Someone who understood that comparison is the enemy of gratitude. My ex-wife had taught me the most valuable lesson of my adult life. Never accept being systematically disrespected by someone who claims to love you. No matter how they justify their behavior, no matter what they claim their intentions are, words and actions that consistently tear you down are not expressions of love. She wanted a perfect husband, and I gave her the perfect divorce. She got exactly what she asked for, the freedom to pursue her impossible standards with someone else. I got something even better, the knowledge that I was worth more than daily comparisons to other men. Sometimes the best thing you can do for someone who doesn't appreciate you is to remove yourself from their life completely. Let them discover what they lost when they were too busy focusing on what they thought they wanted. The comparison game only has one winner, the person who refuses to play it. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely.